you.
Good to see you too. Wow.
This is JD Vance's first time to step into the Oval Office.
Wow.
It's incredible.
This is incredible.
When I was watching JD Vance get sworn in, I couldn't take my eyes off of his mother. We know so much about her journey through the book and movie Hillbilly Elegy. And I was just thinking to myself, God, what must this be like? What must this be like growing up in rural, impoverished Appalachia with all of the roadblocks in front of you and the path that JD Vance could have taken if he had continued in that cycle of poverty and addiction that his family had set up. But he was set on the right course by his grandmother first, and then finally by the United States Marine Corps. He changed his life. He got his education, became a self-made man, a very wealthy man, became a best-selling author, became a U.S. Senator, and now he's the Vice President of the United States. It's overwhelming emotionally if you think about it. But it's about to get even more emotional for you, because yesterday, on his first day on the job as Vice President of the United States, he walked through the doors of the Oval Office for the first time in his life, which, of course, most people don't get a chance to go into the Oval Office. But usually when you get to the point where you're the Vice President of the United States, it's because you've been a congressman for a while, or a senator, or maybe a governor. And in that capacity, you may have been to the Oval Office. But see, he's only been a senator for 2 years. And during those 2 years as a junior senator from Ohio, Joe Biden never invited him in. Joe Biden barely invited anybody over to the White House, let alone to the Oval Office. And certainly no Republicans were invited. And so JD Vance entered the Oval Office for the first time in his life. And Speaker of the House Mike Johnson got wind of this. They were talking before he went in, and he said, well, I got to capture this on video. And so Mike Johnson pulled out his phone and he captured the moment.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Yes.
Margo?
Oh, hey, Margo.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Wow.
This is JD Vance's first time to step into the Oval Office.
Wow.
It's incredible.
This is incredible. All right.
That's just so cool. I mean, everything about I feel like we're all sort of living this experience through JD Vance's eyes as this whole thing unfolds before our eyes. And he's so relatable and so real and so normal. And I gotta tell you, and this is gonna sound like a flex, and I'm not doing it to flex, but it's weird to me to say I've been in the Oval Office before JD Vance. That's just weird. Back during the first Trump presidency, I had this exact same experience. I had just interviewed President Trump in the Roosevelt Room, where Trump just had that press conference we watched earlier in the show, and he asked if I wanted to go and see the Oval Office. He said, "Have you ever been to the Oval Office?" No. He says, "Would you like to come?" And I didn't even realize when you go into the West Wing of the White House and you go through this corridor and that room, you're not sure where everything is necessarily. Because of where the entrance is and where the press briefing room is, and so you go through a door here behind the table we were sitting in. You go a little bit down a corridor, and it's right there. I mean, it's the Oval Office, and he did exactly this. He opened the door, and he just led me in. And he even said, "Now people get overwhelmed the first time they walk in here, so it's okay if you get emotional." And I did kind of get emotional, and look at JD. It's just super cool. And, just as some regular citizen, civilian person in the media, when I walked in there and, you got all these thoughts in your head. It's like, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. And I was just there to interview the president. We took a picture. We'll share the picture a little later on our social media. But imagine being JD Vance, first time in your life, walking in those doors, seeing that desk, knowing that at any given moment, God forbid something happens to the president of the United States, he's sitting in that chair. Look at that. Look at that. A little later, Speaker Johnson was on Capitol Hill giving a press briefing about legislative affairs, and he brought this issue up, or it was raised with him, and he spoke of it.
Let me just say how moving it was. As we gathered in the hold room to go in, President Trump came to visit us. Leader Thune was there as well, and our chiefs of staff. And we were standing there talking to JD, the vice president. President walked in, greeted us, and he said, "Hey, let's go take the meeting into the Oval Office." Well, they're still unpacking boxes. The new team is moving in, and all the picture frames are empty and all of that. But thankfully, because we do the transition of power so well in America, the Oval Office was all set up, and it looked fantastic. As we were walking down the hallway, JD mentioned, just in passing, I've never stepped foot in the Oval Office before. It's remarkable. And I said, "Brother, I got to film this." So I just posted on social media a while ago, videoed that, and it was a really historic moment, right? The president walks us in, and the new vice president walks in, and he stands there, and we all look at the grandeur of the place. Only in America can a young man from humble circumstances from Appalachia rise to be the vice president and step into the Oval Office for the first time with that title. It's really something. We live in a great country.
Well, I would add to that, only in America can those two guys grow up as kids from the Bayou in Louisiana and end up being number one and number two in the House of Representatives, Speaker Johnson and Majority Leader Scalise. One other thing about Johnson, and I know that I've made no bones about it. I am a fan of Mike Johnson. I think he's a great man, and I think he's doing a very good job as Speaker, quite possibly, as this year goes on, a great job as Speaker. And here's a good indication of how he's doing. He knows how to deal with the media. All day yesterday, reporters were asking every single Republican about the J6 pardons. Do you agree with that? Where do you stand on that? Where you're trying to get him on the record? Of course, no Democrat had to speak about whether they agreed with Biden pardoning the members of the committee for January 6th and the staff for January 6th, let alone the members of the extended Biden family for all of their corruption. Yeah, that question is never asked. But every Republican has to say exactly what they think about the January 6th pardons. And Speaker Johnson gave a textbook answer.
So look, everybody can describe this however they want. The president has the pardon and commutation authority. It's his decision. And I think what was made clear all along is that peaceful protests and people who engage in that should never be punished. There was a weaponization of the Justice Department. There was a weaponization of the events, the following, the prosecutions that happened after January 6th. It was a terrible time and a terrible chapter in America's history. The president's made his decision. I don't second guess those. And yes, it's kind of my ethos, my worldview. We believe in redemption. We believe in second chances. If you would argue that those people didn't pay a heavy penalty, having been incarcerated and all of that's up to you. But the president's made a decision. We move forward. There are better days ahead of us. That's what we're excited about. We're not looking backwards. We're looking forward.
That is a perfect textbook, deft, brilliant answer. And most importantly, by the way, that's the other thing. You always got to compare it to the Biden pardons. I wish he had done that there, but he didn't. That's fine. But, unlike the Biden, what he should have said was, unlike members of the Biden family, these people have paid penalties. They've lost fortunes trying to defend themselves with lawyers. They've lost their reputations in their neighborhoods as their neighbors have seen their house get raided by the FBI with guns drawn at 6 a.m. They've been incarcerated. They've been in jail. They've been convicted. You can't say that about the Biden family. But the best part of that entire answer is, I'm the Speaker of the House. I don't have pardon power. This is the president's power to pardon. He pardoned it. My opinion, frankly, doesn't matter because there's nothing I can do about it anyway. I'm not going to second guess him. He's the president. He won the election. He has the right to pardon people. It's solely the president's power without any commentary from the legislative branch. The people knew he was going to do this. They voted for him, and he's done it. Let's move on. And that's the perfect answer. What a great day for Speaker Mike Johnson, giving that answer to a reporter, but then also, more importantly, capturing that historic moment of JD Vance, the new vice president, entering the Oval Office for the first time. Cool stuff. Increased tariffs on our trade partners, absolutely on the table and being worked out as we speak. Tax cuts being worked out in the Ways and Means Committee, soon to be part of a big reconciliation package on the House floor. Regulation changes already being implemented through executive order. That's why right now gold is a viable diversification tactic now more than ever. With all those things in the news, it's affecting everything in the economy. Birch Gold is the only gold company I endorse. They're releasing their ultimate guide for gold in the Trump era. It's a great book with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr., and it is yours for free. along with Birch Gold's free information kit on gold. Now, that book, Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era, it's got a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. Get both of these amazing, very informative works. Just text my name, Larry, Larry, to the number 989898. Birch Gold is the company I recommend to help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. And that doesn't mean any money out of your pocket. These are existing IRAs or 401ks. You've already got that money. It's already sitting in those accounts. Birch Gold is going to help you convert them into gold, a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Text my name, Larry, Larry, to 989898. Get that free copy of the Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era. No obligation, just information. A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Thousands of happy customers. Text Larry, Larry, to 989898. Do that today.